The Mercedes-Benz E-Class Coupe is a luxurious and comfortable grand tourer, and it's a car that I really do love. It's the modern version of my car, the old CLK. It's a sophisticated, elegant and classy car, but it's also full of interesting quirks and features. With it being a Mercedes, they like to do things a little bit differently, and there's a few things around this cabin and around the car that I think are quite interesting. So if that sort of thing floats your boat, then please stick around for this video. Now, of course, the first thing to mention with the E-Class Coupe is the pillarless feature. So if I wind these windows down now, I've got this great view of the estuary, and there's literally no middle pillar. And it's a long tradition of Mercedes to have the missing B pillar in their coupe cars, right back to the 50s and 60s when they first introduced it, right up until now, you know, with this car from 2010 onwards. And it's a really great thing because it looks, for a start, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? With the windows down, it just looks so cool. But secondly, it actually provides like a kind of better airflow into the car. Instead of it buffeting off this B pillar, you get a kind of like more natural airflow when you're driving along. And, you know, in the summer, you can kind of stick your arm up on the sill here of the window and look cool. Of course, also, with the windows up or down, you have excellent visibility. Your blind spot over your shoulder, you can just check it, and there's no B pillar in the way. And right now I can have this great view of the Ribble estuary. It is really nice. When you get in this car and you shut the door, it hands you the seatbelt over your shoulder. And that is just, it's such a cool feature. Having the car just physically hand you the seatbelt, it's like, hello sir, welcome to your car. And not only that, but when it then retracts, it just kind of like pulls you back into the seat and gives you a little hug and says, yes, I've got you, don't worry. There are practical reasons for it. For a start, the mounting point for the seatbelt is quite far back, and it means that you would have to lean far to get it. But also, it means that when you're getting in the back of this car, if you've got a backseat passenger, when you pull the seat forward, there's no seatbelt thing in the way for them to get past like there is in some cars. I'm thinking Lexus LC500, for example, where they route the seatbelt through the back rest of the back seat, and you have to unhook it to get in the back. Well, not with this. The arm just gets out your way and you can get in the back no problem. Now, like every fancy modern car, it's got a start-stop button to start the engine and turn the ignition on. But if you kind of fancy the old school way of putting a key in there and turning it, well, Mercedes have got you, because you can just take the start-stop button off. It just pulls out like that. There it is. It's like, it's quite a nice satisfying little thing, like a little fidget spinner, or I can just use the old key instead, like this. Stick that in there. And away we go. This car has got a glorious panoramic sunroof that stretches right from the back of the car up to the front of it. But one day you might have parked up and left the car and you thought, oh no, I've left the sunroof open. And then not only that, but it starts absolutely pouring it down with rain, and you think, by the time I've got back to this car, it's going to be a fish tank. But no, this car, it knows. If you leave the sunroof open and you walk away and then it starts raining, then it'll close the sunroof. It's as simple as that. It detects that it's raining and it goes, yeah, once again, I got you, bro, don't worry about it. And the sunroof closes. Now, it's all well and good being told that, but I thought, you know what, I'll test that out. And I got out of the car and poured some water on the, it's up here, the windscreen wiper rain sensor. If that gets wet, then that's how it knows. This is a very safe car, of course. It's what you would expect from a Mercedes-Benz coupe, isn't it? You know, it's got all of the sort of electronic safety assist, it's got all of the traction control and ABS, and it's got the things that will stop you crashing, like the sensors to detect cars in front of you, pedestrians. It does absolutely everything it can to stop you having a crash in the first place. But what I found fascinating about this car was that even then it's not done. When it detects that you're about to have an accident and there's nothing more it can do to stop it, it goes into sort of matrix bullet time and tries to keep you as safe as possible. And what it does is it pulls you back in the seat with the seatbelt, and the seat bolsters come inwards to like hold you in place in the optimum position. The passenger seat will then relocate itself into the optimum position for the passenger. If you've got the windows open, it'll close all the windows as well to keep you as safe as possible. And then, of course, once you have crashed and all of the airbags have deployed and it's kept you safe in that way, the windows will then open, the steering wheel will move itself out of the way, the interior lights will go on, and then with its dying breath it will cut its engine off and call the emergency services to let them know where you are and what's happened. This was one of the very last cars that Mercedes put their old school foot operated handbrake into the car. And it's the system where you put the handbrake on with your foot and you take it off with your hand on the right. It's cool because it frees up space in the center console, but of course by 2015 they could have put an electronic handbrake in. That would have been quite simple for them at that point. But they carried on with the old school way of doing it, and it's dead easy to forget that the handbrake is on and drive off, and you're like, car's a bit slow, but of course it then starts warning you that you've left the handbrake on. The glove box, it's cooled, and it has a little vent inside it that lets the air conditioning flow into the glove box and make sure that all of your little cans of champagne are kept cold, or whatever it is that you have in there. In the center console, there's the world's smallest little flappy cubby hole, which is quite strange. But it turns out there's a reason it's there, and it's because in the convertible version of this car, it's where all the controls to make the roof come down are. The acid test for small cubby holes. How many Werther's originals can you get inside this little thing? And I managed to get 18 of them in there, so it's not too bad. So I think that's a great little spot to store them if you ever need emergency sugar rations while you're driving your E-Class Coupe to Berlin. When you pull up at some lights in this car, or you're on a hill, or you've just stopped the car temporarily, it's quite awkward to use that old-fashioned handbrake. But fortunately, in this car, Mercedes have put the hold system in, where if you put your foot down on the brake a little bit firmer than you normally would when you've stopped, it puts the car into hold mode, and then you can just let go of all the pedals and you can just chill out. That's so much better than having to faff around with the handbrake or put it into park just to stop for a few seconds. The seats are extremely adjustable in this car. Now you can move them forward and backward, up and down. You can electronically move the headrest up and down. Nothing has to be done with your own arms or your own effort. The coolest thing is the controls for the bolsters and the seat itself, that you can adjust it into various positions like lumbar support and stuff. It's these little switches here, and they operate in such a manner that when you move them one way, it'll pump air into the seat in various places. The bolsters, for example, will come in. But you want to adjust them and let the air out. You can actually hear the air escaping from the seat, and it's kind of like a noise. It's really quite strange but cool. Okay, here are a few other things you could get with this car. A rear window roller blind that would go up and down with electricity. You could get ventilated seats, as well as obviously heated seats. Dynamic handling sport package, which you could adjust the suspension between soft and firm. You could get a heated steering wheel. Active parking assist, which basically parks the car for you when you find a parallel parking space. It looks for one, and then when it finds it, it will park the car for you. You could get a 360-degree camera that would show you all the way around the car by stitching together 4 different cameras. You could get traffic sign recognition, which would tell you the last sign it saw and what the speed limit is, and whether there's any things like, have you gone down a no entry sign, and it's like, whoa, what are you doing, dude? And it actually tells you not to do that. And then, of course, you've got the intelligent lighting system, where the LED headlights will move around the corner with you when you're going around a corner, and they will also adapt to do full beam around the car that's heading towards you, so you can actually keep full beam on but not blind the car coming towards you. I'm not always a fan of modern technology, but those intelligent headlights are pretty damn cool. Now, another thing that was probably a bit old hat, even by 2010 when this car was first released, is the fact that you can play DVDs on this car. If you put a DVD in the central CD slot, you can then watch a DVD on the screen. But like in the C-Class Coupe that I tested, it will of course not let you drive along with the DVD on. If you're driving along in this car and you're starting to feel a bit tired, and maybe you're a bit distracted and you're looking elsewhere and you're feeling like you might need a break, well, the car will let you know first. It comes up with a little thing on the screen to tell you that you need to take a break, and there's also a menu option in there that will give you like a rating of how well you're paying attention to the road, and it's like, you last stopped 2.5 hours ago, and it's like, maybe it's time to have a break. And now it's over to you. Do you have an E-Class Coupe? What kind of quirks and features have you noticed in it? And are the ones that I've missed? Are there some things of this car that you really love and you use all the time, or kind of found ages later after driving the car and it was hidden away? Please do let me know in the comments, and everyone else can look through the comments and see what other things this car can do. A massive thanks to John for lending me the car again. You're a legend. If you want to see the full review of this car, where I go through absolutely everything about it, how it is to drive, what its handling is like, its comfort, what I think of the car in general, please do click on the video up there, the full review of the E-Class Coupe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.